my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jade and I help people reclaim back their power physically, mentally and spiritually. Now today I'm going to be talking about 10 signs that you are a natural born witch. Now when I say natural born witch, it can be from either bloodline, so you've come from a family of witches and your ancestors may have been one, or it can mean your soul. So sometimes you may have had a past life as a witch or a wizard. Again, this can be for both sexes. It's not just women that can have these traits and abilities. So number one is you are an empath. Now, what is an empath? Naturally, empaths are very sensitive to all energy. And this is because they can sense and have a heightened senses, basically more than the average person. So empaths will be normally quite troubled people a lot of the time, because if you look at native shamans, for example, when they notice that someone is highly intuitive and highly sensitive to all energy around them, they'll normally be taken under the wing of a shaman and then taught how to use their gifts to their best advantage. However, in Western worlds, we don't normally get that. When it comes to linking it to being a witch, it's so important to feel the elements. It's so important to be able to feel people's energy and sense. It's linked to your intuition, basically. So a natural empath will have, the ability to see through lies, to see through BS. They'll have very good intuition, and this is when you are, you've developed your gift basically as an empath, because it is a very good gift, even though many people see it as, a curse, because we do live in such a kind of troubled matrix and world. So they get overwhelmed by the pain and the suffering that everyone feels. But once you learn how to shield yourself, it is such a powerful gift, and it goes hand in hand with doing spells, doing magic, gaining better psychic abilities, gaining better clairvoyancy. So that links me to number two, is you have probably experienced paranormal activity. So this can be on all sort of aspects. So for me personally, as a child, I used to always have experiences with spirits. Also in a more negative aspect, as I didn't know or was taught what it was. So naturally I would see, hear and feel a lot of spirits, have a lot of paranormal activity around me. Weird things would happen all the time. And this is because most witches are natural mediums. So a medium is basically a bridge between this 3D dense world realm that we have and the astral realms. So a medium is in between. So you have 1 foot here in the 3D, and then you have 1 foot in the astral realms. And that's why you will get glimpses and have the gift to see ghosts, to see spirits, entities, demons, angels, even fairies, the fae, nature spirits, because there are so many different realities, dimensions all around us. So we are living in a whole soup of all these different energies, and this is why this links to number one, because an empath will feel all these different energies and also have the natural ability to probably channel. And this doesn't always mean being completely, possessed and put under. A lot of the time channeling can just come from pretty much nowhere, but you just have this clairsentience and you just know what to say to people, and it just flows out of you when you need to give advice to people, for example. Number three is you're very passionate about injustice. Now again, this will probably be linked to many past lives that you would have had. And again, this is linked to having your empathic abilities to see through BS and obviously feel the pain and suffering of many people, animals, etc. So it's very likely that you are already vegan or vegetarian. It's very likely that you are environmentalist. You care greatly about protecting the planet, about our earth. You care, you may be a feminist. There's many things that you'll notice these things where a lot of people turn a blind eye to it, or they don't even acknowledge it at all. You will innately, from probably a young child, would have had this kind of strong sense of you want to help people, you want to shine light on injustice, because you feel the pain, you feel the earth's pain, you feel the pain and suffering of many beings all around you. This can even come to even spirits. You feel the pain of spirits being surrounded by you who may be stuck in purgatory, and you need to lift their pain. So there's so much energy, and this is what gives you that passion. This is what will give you that kind of fight, that inner warrior, that inner activist. So it's probably likely you have that inner activist energy about you as well. Because yeah, basically you're empathic, you see it, you feel it, and it's because you're needed. Because what is a witch? A witch is predominantly a healer. They are wise, they are oracles, and they've come here to help, to be of service, to alleviate the suffering, to alleviate the pain, and to protect Mother Earth, essentially. And this leads to number 4, is you adore and love nature. So you feel very connected to the elements. You feel very connected to trees, to flowers, to nature, to everything. And you crave it, and it heals you to be in it. You may find that you enjoy walking barefoot a lot. I certainly did when I was a child, and my mother used to hate it and always shout at me. Typical Portuguese, she'd think I'd get a cold. But as a child, I loved being barefoot, and I hated wearing shoes because I liked feeling the earth beneath my feet, even indoors. Like, I liked to feel the wood beneath my feet because it made me feel grounded. I feel very ungrounded in shoes a lot of the time. And it will be very healing for you to spend time in nature. You will feel very connected to the earth spirits because you have this highly sensitive natural gifts. You can sense that there's far more than meets the eye, and that goes of course with nature. You may be a herbalist, you may love using natural remedies as well. I certainly do. Because you know that's true medicine. That is, you know, what really needs to be embraced in this world is natural remedies and herbalism. You'll know the power of plants. You'll know how incredible and special they are. This leads me on to number 5, and that is you have a very strong bond with animals. Now, animals have sixth sense built into themselves. Animals, again, they're highly sensitive because they don't use verbal communication like we do. They're very in tune to the energy of people, especially. Like a dog, for example, most of the time will be able to spot a very evil person. They'll probably growl at them or not really like them much. Same with cats. So you may find that animals bond with you really quickly. They always like you. You may also notice that you see a lot of animals a lot of the time. So birds will appear to you regularly. For me, I have this a lot, or butterflies always just seem to manifest. I even had a butterfly randomly manifest in one of my windows in the middle of winter, which I don't even know how it got there. And of course, you will adore and love animals. You will love spending time with them. And this goes, you know, far back, as because witches would always have familiars. They would have animal helpers. A lot of the time, a spirit can actually be using an animal's body as a vessel. So a spirit guides, they can communicate or connect with you or keep an eye on you or help protect you, essentially, whilst in the body of an animal. Empaths, again, that's a typical empath trait. They get very relaxed and healed in the company of animals, and you'll probably prefer the company of animals to the company of people and plants. I certainly do. Because you know that animals are very pure, they're very authentic, they don't wear filters like most people do. And because you're such a highly sensitive person, you love their loyalty. Number 6 is a pretty obvious one, and that is that you're naturally drawn to occultism and magic. So this can go in a few ways. You probably grew up being very obsessed or interested in paranormal things, ghost stories. You probably loved horror films as well. You were always drawn to probably Harry Potter, anything to do with magic, anything to do with fantasy as well, like fantasy films, anything to do with occultism and weird dark things as well. So I certainly had this so innately built into me since I was very young. You probably would even try and do spells as a young child or as a teenager. I certainly did. Especially if you done them very much like just from memory, or you just had this knowing of how to do a spell without even reading about it. I did this. I accidentally cursed someone in my school. I'll probably do a story time on that, which I regretted. And but I didn't even read it in the book. I just kind of done it. I didn't even expect it to work, but it did literally the next day. So you'll have this built into you. You would have probably always been fascinated by it. And again, this will probably be linked back to your ancestors, to your past lives, to your bloodline, because this carries on in your subconscious and it's kind of built into your subconscious knowledge and to your soul. So you will definitely have this built-in seeker sort of, you know, energy of always wanting to seek out mystical, occultic type practices, because you remember it, and it's probably because you've done it in a past life many times, and that's what you crave. You will have quite strong intuition. So again, this links with being an empath, as most empaths do. So strong intuition is very common with natural born witches, of course, as again, you're just so in tune to the elements, to people's energy. You'll just know someone's character before even knowing them properly. And this can seem judgmental, but it's not, because energy doesn't lie. And when you're so in tune with your intuition, you'll pick up on things. A natural born psychic is just someone who's very in tune with their intuition greatly, because everything carries information. For example, your clothes, jewellery, and everyone gives off a frequency. And this is what an intuitive person picks up on. This is how they know your past traits, your natural energy, even your future at times. But of course that can change. Future is never set in stone. But basically you're reading the energy of people, you're reading the energy of a place, a circuit, a situation. So your intuition will be very spot on. You may just have glimpses or visions of the future at times. You'll just know things. So this leads on to number 8, and that means you're probably very clairvoyant. So you have the clairs, so clairsentience, clairaudience, clairvoyancy, etc, etc. So that's basically, you have the gifts of like sight, of hearing, of knowing, of feeling, and it can come in all different sort of forms. So there's many different forms of having sort of psychic abilities, and some people can have all of them. Some people can just have 1 or 2, or one may be really stronger than the other. So you may be able to like feel things more, or you may be someone who actually has the gift of sight, so you actually see things a lot of the time. And again, this can depend on your third eye and your pineal glands, because for me personally, when I was a kid, I had the gift of sight really strongly. I would see things all the time, but unfortunately as I grew up, I kind of lost that gift. I still see things now, but it's nowhere near as powerful it used to be when I was younger and a teenager. And this is because over time your pineal gland gets more calcified by drinking things like fluoride, GMO foods, junk food, alcohol. Like there's so many things that calcify your third eye, and this shuts down your natural gifts. This shuts down your psychic abilities, and it's very sad and frustrating for someone who is a natural born witch, because you need that. This is why you've incarnated into your body right now. You need to develop your gifts. If you need help in doing that, please download my free ebook on how to detox your third eye. And these are the things that I used to get back my natural gifts and to really give my intuition a boost. and it truly works wonders, honestly. So I'll leave that a link in the description box below. So number 9 is you probably would have experienced a lot of trauma in your life. Now, many people always ask the question, why do good people suffer so much? And this links to basically, it's actually shamans, many shamans say that when you are gifted and when you have come here to do a very important mission, you need to basically go through training. You need to go through initiations, but spiritual initiations. And those come in the form of challenging experiences, especially in your childhood and earlier life. So this can be even physical challenges. So you may have had like an accident, like been very accident prone, and gone through a lot of physical pain. You probably had an abusive childhood. You may have gone through some sort of abuse or witnessed a lot of abuse, domestic violence, etc. You may have been bullied a lot in your school. Another trait of witches is you're normally the outcast, the loner, the weird kid, all the time. You don't fit in, basically. So you go through all these kind of traumas, mild or severe. And this is basically training you to be very independent and very strong, because this matrix is not sunshine and rainbows. It's very challenging to be here because the energy is so heavy. So in order for you to survive and basically do the work that you've come here to do, to basically resonate with other people's pain, is you have to go through it yourself first. Otherwise, you'll never be able to truly heal and help people, because if you haven't experienced what they've gone through, or at least experienced the same level of suffering and pain, you won't be able to feel it, and you won't be able to give them the correct advice, etc., and alleviate their suffering. So it makes you whole, and it makes you basically not depend on anyone, not be codependent. It teaches you not to follow the crowds, not to be a sheep. You will need to learn to go against the grain and stand up for your beliefs and the truth. So basically, you have to go through all these traumas and tests to prove yourself, in a sense, because a very common misconception about angels and guardian angels, for example, and spirit guides, is they will just give you all this knowledge and answers and help you every step of the way in your life, no matter what you do. And that is not true, because these beings are on an extremely high frequency, and you need to match their frequency in order for them to help you hand in hand. If you're someone who just is a bit of a dick and just goes around hurting people and never learning any spiritual lessons, and you're just making the same mistakes over and over and over again, they won't help you. They will wait patiently, but they won't be able to do much because of the law of free will, because you are choosing to make those negative choices. You are choosing to keep falling for the same BS all the time. So you have to prove yourself. It's like a game. You have to raise your frequency. You must go through these challenges to make yourself strong, to earn knowledge, to earn more power, etc. So you can use it responsibly. You have to be humble. You have to do shadow work. You have to go through numerous ego deaths. And this is when your spirit guides and higher beings will really start to appear in your life. They will really start to actively help you, because now they know that you deserve it and you're serious about being of service to other people. Because you can't lie or cheat in this matrix, basically. You have to be the person. And this is what these challenges will basically be trying to teach you, and to mold you into a very powerful being of love, of light, and of wisdom. So you can fully be whole and resonate with other people. Number 10 is you've heard the call. Now, what is the call? The call is this very powerful gut feeling of wanting to look into these sort of things, of wanting to change, of wanting to embrace your spiritual energy. A lot of women get this, especially because we are probably connected to our ancestors who would have been killed and tortured and, you know, burnt at the stake for practicing magic and all that. So you feel that call. You feel the call to be of service. You feel the call to help the planet. You feel the call to help animals, to help people, to better yourself, to really start taking your life seriously. So again, this will make you probably a bit of an outcast, especially in typical societies where most women are just expected to, you know, get married, have children, have a normal life. But you probably don't want that at all. Most natural born witches don't, because you feel you just don't have the energy to be doing that. Most witches will naturally be very independent, and they will be the outcast. They will be, you know, the village weirdo, because you have to use so much energy to conjure things. You have to use so much energy to help people, because it can be so draining to us. So you don't really have the energy to be a mother to your own children, for example, and then be a mother to the rest of the world and trying to help heal people, etc., because it can take so much energy out of you. Some women can do this, of course, but a lot of the time most women will just kind of feel that they innately don't want to have children, because that's not what they've come here to do. Because you probably already have had loads of children in past lives, etc., and you've experienced that, but now you've come here to experience something different. You've come here to nurture the whole planet, the whole world, and many people, because you see everyone as your family. So that is a big calling that most women will feel. You're just called to help. You're called to be of service, and you've felt the call to look into magical practices because you've most likely done it before. It's built into you, it's built into your blood, it's built into your soul. So even watching this video is a big sign, you know, you're drawn to this video for a reason. So for me, many years I lost my connection to magic, I lost my connection to occultism. And even though it was still there, it was very much suppressed. And this unfortunately happens to so many women. They suppress their inner magic, they suppress their inner divine, feminine, powerful energy because of too much trauma, and you haven't had your spiritual awakening yet. And things always happen in divine timing. So you probably will go through a lot of years of darkness, and this is again what I explained earlier, you training and becoming powerful and becoming, you know, learning hard lessons. And then at the right time, it will come to you. You'll feel this calling, and you'll feel this urge to look into all these kind of mystical things and occultism, or just spiritual practices in general. I've noticed on my journey, it happens in stages. So once I learn one thing, that will kind of fizzle away, and then another thing will come, and then another thing will come. And then it all becomes like part of a big puzzle, and there's all these different individual pieces that come together. And that's what I've been called to see and to learn. So I hope these signs resonate with you. And please feel free to download my free ebook. I'll leave the link to that below. Visit my website, which is now up, thegoddesscoven.net, where I offer art magic services as well. Follow me on Instagram for more daily content that I post on there. Much love to you, much light to you. Ahimsa.